Alright, today we're going to be talking about Chapter 8, Lesson 6. This is all about inequalities. So, as we go through this, we're going to learn about some words that represent the inequality symbols. We're going to learn how to write inequalities. We're going to learn how to establish whether they are true or false if we're given a value. And then we're going to learn how to write an equation from a graph. Alright, so let's go through this. An inequality, first of all, is like an equation, but the two sides are not equal, which is really where the word inequality comes from. Because inequality means it's not equal. So let's go through some words that we can hopefully try to recognize as we go through these examples here to help us really understand what symbol we're looking for. So this symbol right here. I'm sure most of you know this is the less than symbol. But some other words that we can think of is fewer than, and that's really about it. That's all we're really going to see. You could also say lower than or smaller than. Really anything that means less can go in here. Now this symbol is the greater than symbol. We could also think of more than, bigger, what else we got? Higher. We can also find the word exceeds, which means has been greater than or done more. Excuse me. Now, this symbol here, this is a little bit more tricky because this is not just less than, because it's less than or equal to. Another word is no more than, or is at most. And then this symbol would be greater than, or, again there's that or, equal to. So this is really where this part of this definition is not always the case, because it could be equal to, but generally it is not. We could also say is no less than, or is at least. Alright, so let's go through some examples here. It says write an inequality, and this is example 1, for each sentence. So for letter A, it says the DVD costs more than $15. So let's say D, well, let's go C. We'll represent the cost of the DVD, which means we'd say that C, more than, is going to be using the greater than symbol. 15. For letter B, it says the dog weighs less than 50 pounds, so I'm going to say that D is the weight of the dog. So if it's less than, that's going to be using this symbol right here. So D is less than 50. Example 2, it says you must be at least 18 years old to vote. Write an inequality to describe the situation. Well, right here is the word that we're going to be looking for. At least shows up right here. Which means that our inequality symbol is going to be this way. So I'm going to say A represents age. So I'm going to say A is greater than or equal to 18. And that would be the inequality that we would have to utilize in order to finish this inequality. All right, let's look at the next side then. Example 3 at the very top. It says, for the given values, state whether each inequality is true or false. Which means what we want to do is we want to take this 6 here and substitute it in for S and evaluate. And if the statement is still true, if whatever this left side would be is still less than 4, then it works. So let's substitute. So S is 6. 6 minus 9 is -3. And -3 is less than 4. So this is true. Part B, same process. The only difference is we have a different looking inequality. So on the left side is just the number. On the right side is going to be the expression we're going to want to evaluate. So I'm going to say 14 is less than or equal to. A is 36, so I'm going to substitute 36 in for A. I'm now going to evaluate. So 36 divided by 3 is 12. And 12 plus 1 is 13. Unfortunately, though, 14 is not less than or equal to 13. So this is false. All right, our next example, we're going to be looking at how to graph each inequality. So when we are dealing with a symbol like this, what this means is it cannot be equal to a number. So normally when we graph, we use dots. The difference here is we cannot use a dot in this case because it's not equal to. So I'm going to create my number line here. So I'm going to say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go all the way up to 9. Let's use orange. So we're looking at A is greater than 6. So 6 is really where I want to start. But it cannot be equal to 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle here to show that it is starting at 6, but it cannot be 6. Next, I'm going to draw a line. It says A is greater than 6. So it means A has to go into the right direction because every number to the right is greater than 6. Let's turn on airplane mode so I don't get those nasty notifications. There we go. So I'm going to draw an arrow that goes in this direction here. Now we're going to color it in. So let's use... Another handy trick that I like to use is substituting just 0 in for the variable. Because 0 would be off in this direction here. So 0 is greater than 6, that's not true. So I'm going to move it in the opposite direction. Alright, let's look at letter B here now. Same process. I'm going to create my number line. The only difference is I'm going to be starting at -1. So let's go -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, does it keep going? I could probably put a 3 in there. Now, this symbol here is less than or equal to, which means it could be -1. So instead of doing the open circle like I did over here, I'm going to do a closed circle. Last thing I want to look at is substituting 0 in here. That's my little trick. Is 0 less than or equal to -1? No, it's not. It's actually greater than -1, which means that I'm going to have an arrow pointing off in this direction. And color that bad boy in. And that's how you graph an inequality. Because really, any number that is over in this shaded area, as well as continuously moving to the left on this number line, could satisfy this equation right here. Because if I said -3, -3 is less than or equal to -1. If I said -72, that is also less than or equal to -1. So it could be any of those numbers. And that's really what inequalities are about. Alright, last example here. It says write an inequality for the graph. So let's say x and -38, because that's where our graph starts, right here. Now it's a closed dot, so I'm going to draw a line because it's going to be either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. We are moving in the right direction, which means